Hi everybody, Michelle from Michelle Makes here. I'm going to do a little vlog that's going to tell you all about this. This is something I've made. I made it actually a couple of years ago, and it's a bag. It's a bag, but if you make it big enough, you could actually, if you have children, you can make a big mat, put all the Lego in there, and then when they come to play, open it all up, they can play with the Lego, and when they're finished, you just pull the cords and it closes it all up for them. There, just pull the cords like that, and you end up with a little bag. That's the little pouch here that I've got. Made a few of these. I keep all my makeup in, so that when I want to get something out, I just open it up and I can get it out. Another one I keep my pens in. I've got lots and lots of pens, and I keep the pens in there. And this one here is a one that I've just made there. Very similar. I've actually got makeup in this one. The two here, this is actually some bias binding tape that I had, and I folded it in half and then I overlocked down both sides. And this one I've used, it's actually some curtain cord that I've got. I've got it wrapped up there with a little bit of, with it's a hair, one of these hair ties, one of those kind of hair ties, because obviously you're going to end up with a lot of spare cord here. When you open it up like that, you can make it nice and big and it pulls it open, but obviously when you close it, you're going to end up with a lot of spare cord. I actually hang one of them, one of my pens, I hang it on the back of my chair, so it actually hangs like that and it's down to the floor. I don't mind that, but you might not want all of this here. So what I do is I sometimes roll it up or I tie it, and in this case just use a little hair tie to go around there a couple of times, and you've got that fastened there. As I say, the nice thing about it is you can open it right up, and also you can reverse it. So in this case it's purple on one side, green on the other. Right, well, to get started you're going to need 3 fat quarters, some bias binding or cord. You'll need scissors, thread and a tape measure. You take 2 of the fat quarters and fold each of them in half, and then half again. Then you cut a quarter circle, open it up, and you should now have a large round circle. So here I've taken 2 of the fat quarters, I've actually got them together, folded them in half, and then again, and then I'm going to do a quarter circle around there. I'm going to measure it, and basically I'm taking the measurement as far to the edge as I can, and then I'm going to go round and make marks where that same measurement is all the way round. And now I've measured, I'm drawing a circle, quarter circle line round, and I'm going to then cut round that circle. Now I have that quarter circle, I'm going to measure the circumference, measure around that quarter edge. And if I multiply that measurement by 4, then I should get the measurement of the whole circle, the circumference. In my case it was 13 inches. If I multiply that by 4, I got 52 inches. I'm now going to put those circles to one side. Now I'm going to take the other piece of fat quarter, or if you've got any other spare fabric, fold one corner over to the far side so that it's at right angles, and so you have a diagonal, and that diagonal is where you're going to cut your bias tape for around the edge of the circle. So I'm cutting down this diagonal, and that will give me the line for to cut the bias. Now taking one piece, I'm now going to cut 2.5 inch strips down there. I'll measure it first. and mark it with my ruler. I would normally cut this with a cutting mat, but I'm doing this on the dining room table, so I don't want to be bothered to get the cutting mat, and so I'm cutting with scissors. Not everyone has a cutting mat, so showing you how you do it with scissors is equally as good. I'm going to need about 3 lengths so that they will cover the whole circumference of the bag. I've taken the other piece of fabric because I need the longer lengths. It makes life so much easier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross those pieces across. You really need to cut the pieces so that they can be joined together, and then measure the circumference plus 2 inches. The ends have to be slanted so that the points stick out, and you're going to stitch along the line there, that little line there. Sew along there, and once you've sewed along, press it open and it should look like this. And then you bring these sides together, bring one side of the edge to the other, so you've got a folded edge and a cut edge, and then you need to cut it into 2 pieces. One's going to go on one half and the other on the other. You need to then fold the ending of each of the 2 pieces, so you've got a nice neat finish on the end. Now take your 2 circles and fold them in half, and then at the edge of each half circle cut a little V out, and that's basically just to let you see where you're going to be putting your tape. So there's a V there and a V there, and then you're going to get your little tape that goes around the edge, and you pin the bias tape along the edge of the circle. One will go all the way around from one V to the other, and then the second one's going to continue at the bottom from one V right the way around to the other. So I've pinned the top half just to let you see here, and then I'm going to do the same. You notice that I'm actually only pinning on one piece of fabric. So top half, and then there's the join, and that's the bottom half. I'm going to sew, you will excuse me, I always sew over pins. I make sure they're at right angles. I've been doing that for 40 or 50 years, so it's a hard thing to tell myself not to do it. Then you get the second piece of fabric, the circle, and you lay it on top, right sides together. Match where the V is and pin that around the edge like you did with the previous one. But you're going to leave a little gap, about 2 or 3 inches, which you're going to have. I put double pins there so that I know exactly where it is. So there's my double pins. That's where I'm going to leave the gap, and I'm going to sew all the way around here and back to the beginning again. I'm going to make this stitch. The first one I did about 6 millimeters from the edge. This one's going to be a bit wider so that you won't see the previous stitching. So I've gone round, and there's the gap. Now I'm going to turn this the right way around, and there, it's all the right way around. I've got this gap here, and I will stitch that up. You can either do it by hand or on the machine. Now I'm going to do the cord. Now in this particular bag I had a lot of lilac bias binding, which is very, very old, and I wanted to use it up. So what I decided to do was to fold it halfway and then do an overlock stitch on both sides, so it actually stiffened it up, and then I began to feed it through. In this case, this is the brown white one. I used some curtain cord that I had spare, and I started at one end, threaded it through, and went right the way around and came back out the same end. And then once you've done one side, you tie a knot, and you do the same with the other side. You started at the opposite end though. And there you go. That's your whole bag with the drawstring. You can open it up wide to see what you've got inside, and when you're finished you can pull it tight. I made a very long cord. You can make it shorter if you're not going to be opening the bag up as far open as I've shown you. The cord can be wrapped around or tied, or you could make a little cover that holds the cord together. In this case I made it with some faux leather that I had. I pierced little holes in it, and I'm going to use the little poppers that you use. I folded over one end because I wanted a bit of strength on the one that I'm going to have on the top surface, because that's the part that you pull away when you want to open it. I've doubled it over, and then I add a pointy one, the pointy flat top on the top surface, and this is the male part on there, and then I've pressed it in, and I'm going to use the little pliers to close it, and then I do the same on the other side, on the same side but not across the other side, if you understand what I mean. And the flat bit on the pointy bit with the point, the one with the point goes on the right side, and the little male part goes on the top, and I use my jig to press it together again. As easy as that. And then we go to the other side. Now look at the way that it's going to be going. You fold that, the button's going to go over the top there, so one inside is going to have the flat bit on the back with a point coming through to the right side, and then your female part is going to go on there. And then I close that and do the same again on the other side. Flat bit on the back, female part on the front. We call them male and female because the female part is the one that's the hollow and the male part is the one that sticks out. I'm not going to tell you why. So in this case I roll the cord around my hand, and then I wrap this little piece of faux leather around and press the poppers to close it. And there you go, one little band that goes over like that. That's one way you can do it, or you could thread it through just the half. Same procedure, but instead of passing it around all of it, just pass it through the little gap there, like that, and fasten it that way. And that just keeps it tidy. There you go, the circular drawstring bag. Thank you for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.